Hey NAI football fans, Corey Thorpe here with another edition of the NAIAFBALL Podcast, powered by AdCraft USA, your custom apparel, merch, and uniform experts. Our friends at AdCraft have been with us for many years now. They've run web stores for us multiple times. These guys are NAI fans and family who are experts in the apparel and merchandise world. AdCraft allows you to take the hassle out of ordering. Let their knowledgeable design and customer service staff handle everything from hosting the store online, shipping the product, and helping your customers so you can get back to the game. Find them online at adcraftusa.com. All right, NAI football fans, this is Corey Thorpe back with another edition of the NAIF Ball Podcast, brought to you by, powered by Temples Sports. Since 1974, they've been your custom apparel and merch experts. Tonight we have our first new head coach of the off season. We've got Derrick Alexander coming in at Avila, playoff team a year ago. Coach, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Hey, doing good, doing good. We're not cold down here in Florida, so I'm I think I'll survive.
Right. Well, it was kind of pretty warm today. It was like 60 degrees here today, so we were pretty good.
I'll take it for Kansas City in
Yeah.
early February.
Right.
So, Coach, I know this is your second stint in Avila, and Avila has the great privilege of being kind of on a border here. I know you're in the KCAC, but I think Avila's actual address is actually Kansas City, Missouri.
It is.
But I do have to ask, being in such a great food hub, how do you do your barbecue? What's your go-to KC barbecue?
Oh well, I think my number one place is Q39 right now, and
What
then Joe's is a close second.
what are you getting there? You loading up on
Getting the brisket.
all right.
I got to get the brisket. Yep.
I do love a good
So that's
brisket.
that's the main thing. They have, I think they got the best brisket, so that's the main thing I get from there.
Are you saucing it up or are you leaving it kind of bare?
Uh, Light sauce. Everything depends. I mean, it's usually pretty good. Doesn't need a whole lot of sauce, but I do like their sauce as well. So I usually put a little dab on there.
That's what I hear is the thing about Kansas City barbecue is the sauce. So, we'll see. But I'm usually with you. If the meat's good enough, it don't need no sauce. We'll let the meat stand on its
Right,
own.
right. Let it stand alone.
Well, Coach, I was looking back into the archives here for you, and I noticed that in between playing in the NFL and getting into coaching, that you were a systems analyst and systems engineer, systems analyst for the Federal Reserve Bank.
Right,
I said digging deep into the archives. Talk to me about how
right.
how that analysis and that engineering translates into coaching.
Well, a lot of so what I did a lot of IT support. So the one thing that you have to do is you have to figure out the problem. So people will call in with a problem. Now figure out a way to solve it, and the same in coaching, same in football. You try to figure out a way to beat the other team. Like how's their defense playing, or what is their offense doing? How can we stop it, or how can we get more yards? How can we get a bigger play? So you put a lot of analysis into um, creating schemes and things like that. So it's kind of the same, you dig deep into, figuring out what they do, and then you figure out a way to beat it.
I got to say, ACLs means a totally different thing in the world of IT than it does on a football field. That's for sure and certain.
Right. Yeah, I've
For
had my share of torn ACL, so I'm good now though.
for the non-tech inclined among us, that would be an access control list. Is the technical ACL.
Correct.
Well,
Right.
Coach, you did have a good run in the NFL, a solid career with four teams there, and your single season receiving yards in 2000 is only eclipsed now by some dudes named Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. I think you could probably live with that, right?
Yeah, I'm good with it. It stood for a long time. It stood for about 18 years, so I was okay with it. Tyreek was having a great career. I was there when he broke the record initially, and then uh, Kelsey as well. So I mean, probably pretty good guys. Different. It's a little bit different game now as well. They're throwing that ball around, and they got probably one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. So different time. So those guys are great, and I was happy to let those for those guys to be able to break the record that stood for that many years. I'm surprised it stood for that long though.
So this podcast will come out the day after the Super Bowl and Super Bowl Monday. So we all know who you're cheering for there. You
Oh yeah,
got to go for that Chiefs kingdom there.
definitely,
So
definitely. Yep, it will be the Chiefs. It's the third Super Bowl in the last few years, and 1-1 right now. So hopefully they can get down there and pull it off.
one thing I am interested in, because we do have a couple. Um, you're now the second that I can think of off the top of my head. The coach over at Sagu happens to be Greg Ellis, the Cowboys great. Um, and so I'm curious, how much does the NFL and name recognition help or hurt you in with coaching?
I think it helps that you played the game and you do have that recognition. You have the the intel, so to say, of how the game is played because you've been in it and you've been at a high level. And I mean, it could hurt you to where people think you should be better than what you are. But really, you're only as good as your assistant coaches and the team you have. So those are things that as a head coach, you have to surround yourself with great assistant coaches, and in college especially. I mean, the recruiting is essential. You got to go out and find guys that fit your system and can do the things that you want them to do.
Yeah, absolutely. It's football's football no matter the level. So let's look at your team here. You've got your first team all conference quarterback looks to be returning in Eli Williams. Throws for almost 2,000 yards, rushes for another 700 and almost 50 with 29 combined touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Talk to me about building an offense and kind of how you plan to run offense.
So we'll be maybe running a little bit different offense just because of the change. The prior coach was the offensive coordinator as well, and I actually worked with him when I was at Avila the first time. So I really do know the offense that they were running, and it's been the same uh, since I've been gone. And I do still have all of the most of the information on how we ran that offense, but we'll be bringing in a new offensive coordinator. We'll have probably just a little bit different style of offense, but we'll definitely be using the talents that our quarterback has. I mean, he's shown to be a great runner. He can throw the ball. He's big, and I think he can do all the things that we'll need him to do.
You will you will be missing the talents of Malik Nesbitt, who's just been a great steady Eddie there for Ava the last few years. Been there through the glow up, as the kids say, of Avila through the KCAC these last few years. It's kind of been hopefully nice for you having been on staff once before and been in on recruiting some of these guys. To be able to hit the ground running.
Yeah, I mean Malik's going to be hard to replace. He was actually a freshman my last season there, and you could tell that guy was going to be great. Even as a freshman, he got a little bit of playing time, and I mean he was getting it done then. So kind of figured he was going to be a pretty good player. Also, Andrew Williams, who was a freshman my final season there as an assistant coach. Um, those guys were great for us, even as freshmen. And going forward. those are the type of guys that we got to continue to bring in, and hopefully, with our record and the success that we've had, we can continue to get those type of guys.
Defensively, you've got Monty Tony coming back last year, who was really good creating havoc for y'all with 7.5 tackles for loss, 4.5 sacks. You also return your second most leading tackler, Jose Bautista, who was pretty good on the havoc rate himself with 12 tackles for loss. Talk to me about replacing some of your key pieces and what you're planning on doing defensively.
Well, defensively, we'll probably be very similar to what we've been in the past. Just we've got to again go out and find those guys that fit the mold for us, and we've got some young players that'll fill in for us and that have been around for a while. That will hopefully begin to start stepping up and take the place of these guys that we're missing.
The one thing that I've noticed over the last 5-ish years that we've been doing this has been the deepening of the KCAC. Uh, uh, when we first started, it was Kansas Wesleyan and everybody else. It didn't really matter. It was Kansas Wesleyan's
Right.
conference, and they ran it. Now we're getting to a spot where, maybe about 3 years ago, it was Kansas Wesleyan and Bethel. And then it was Kansas Wesleyan, Bethel, and Southwestern. And now it's all those three and add Avila. So talk to me about the continued deepening of the KCAC and going to two divisions and what you're expecting out of this conference.
Well, it's going to be a great competition for us. I mean, like you mentioned, all those teams are playing well. I mean, Sterling, when we initially got into the league, I think they were the champions, and then Kansas Wesleyan was playing well. Ottawa's had some good seasons, so there's some great teams in this conference, and it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult going two divisions and trying to crown a champion. And I mean, that's going to be great for the kids. I think, having all that competition and being able to, go out every week and know that, you're going to have a tough fight on your hands, and whoever comes out of it is going to be a better team for it. I think that'll prepare the champion for the playoffs. I think we'll have a good chance of going far in the playoffs, or even further. Then we went to the playoffs last year for one game, and the guys are hungry now. Like they've had a taste of that success, and they want to keep it going. So getting prepared by this conference and all these battles we'll have next season, I think will really prepare us going forward.
I think that's a really good point. I mean, the getting a little taste of it, and unfortunately, you lose 14-7 to Indiana Wesleyan. Indiana Wesleyan had a whale of a team last year. Obviously, no scoring after halftime, which surprised me.
Right.
But yeah, once it's there's not much I can compare it to, but once you get a little taste of that, once you get that flavor in your mouth, you keep going back to the well.
Yeah, it's hard not to. It's hard to go backwards once you've made those strides, and you see what's possible. I mean, those guys. When I first got to Avila, we went 0-11. My second year, I think we won 3 games, and then that last season, we went 7-3, which was the best record in school history at the time. No one had ever. I don't even think they had won 5 games or 6. But to win 7 games and have that success, those guys got that taste, and then they've been doing it every season since. I think every season since that one season, my last season where they went 7-3, I think that's the least games they've won. So 7-3, 7-3, 8-2, or and then like last year now with 10 wins on the season, and that's. It's hard not to try and keep that success up. But it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy to go through this conference and win 10 games again. I mean, it's just going to be a lot tougher going forward.
Yeah, I'm just pacing back through the records now, and I'm back to 2004. I still haven't seen 5 wins yet. So you're not
Right.
you're not wrong. As oh, there's 6 wins in 2003. Talking 20 years ago.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, I mean it really is, and just to see the competition there is always really good. Now, one thing that we've been asking the coaches who came on here is we know that if we're not improving, doesn't matter if it's football, life is just like that. You're going to be falling behind. We're on a treadmill in that regard. So, what area of your program, on or off the field, are you really looking to hammer in your first initial year?
Well, I mean, this first year, it's going to be important for us to get uh, a lot of recruits in. I mean, with the transition, there's some uneasiness, and guys, they just don't know, right? They don't know the field. There's going to be some new coaches. There's going to be some new offense, some new things that we have to learn. So the most important thing is going to be for us to get through spring ball with some confidence. Getting some install in with our offense and getting the guys comfortable in what we're teaching them, and the schemes and things that we're trying to run. That's going to be the biggest thing, to get those guys comfortable and set on a path to, once we get to training camp, that we're set and ready to go.
How much does it help that it may not matter which offensive coordinator you bring in, you're going to be able to translate to your offense from the system that you understand running under Coach Benavidez?
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, it's going to help. I'll put it like that. Things will change, obviously, but I think the system that we put in is going to be, it may be similar, but the names and things are going to change a little bit, and how we look at things, how we call it, and I think it's actually simpler for the guys. At least in my mind, it's simpler. The way we teach it, hopefully, makes sense to the guys, and hopefully they catch on pretty quick. We'll try to make sure that we just hammer things home to them and give them all the tools they need to be successful.
Absolutely. Well, Coach, I appreciate you coming on the podcast tonight. We're looking forward to another good season of KCAC football. I mean, it's like I said earlier, it's growing every year. It seems like, and now with the addition of Evangel, y'all have got a game now that is going to be a really close one for you. If my map in my head is correct, going to Nixa. So travel.
Yeah, it's fairly close. I mean, some of the schools, other schools in Kansas are close as well. So we've our travel is not too difficult.
Yeah. So it's not like those poor folks up in the frontier that have to go 11 hours to a game.
Yeah,
It's,
that's brutal.
oh my gosh, I can't imagine being having to keep myself entertained on a bus for that long. But
Right.
we are looking forward to another good season of KCAC football and the growth again, and seeing how two divisions is going to impact the playoffs now with another auto bid. I know the Bethel fans back home were real annoyed about the end of the season last year, and we'll see if we can get all 3 teams in this year. But again, we do appreciate you coming
It'd
on.
be nice to get multiple teams
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
So
No,
just the representation.
when we started, like I said, it was. I remember the first year that Bethel got in alongside Kansas Wesleyan and actually showed up and,
Hmm.
and, and showed out in the playoffs. Um, so it's definitely growing, and so we appreciate you coming on, and we'll see what Avila has to offer come the fall.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the NAIAF Ball Podcast presented by AdCraft USA. Be sure to contact them for all your custom apparel, merch, and uniform needs. Thanks also to Leading Edge Fundraising for their support of the podcast. If you enjoy the show, subscribe to the podcast as well as to our YouTube channel. Leave us a review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. As always, if you'd like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/NAIAFBALL and become a patron. We can't do what we do without our sponsors and listeners like you.